you guys, Pete the Cat and Mrs. Lloyd here to show you how to use your Chromebook. This is the word Chrome and this is the word book. And Chromebook are the computers that we are using that you have checked out from school. This is my daughter's Chromebook, Maeve. Okay, so let's go ahead and open the lid and look at our Chromebook. So Chromebooks are different from like phones and iPads and tablets because when you touch the screen, nothing happens. So in order to move around and click on things and click on buttons in your Chromebook, you are going to need to use this little square, which is called your trackpad, and you can move things around by using one finger, which moves around part of it, or two. We'll talk about that later. Or your parents may have gone ahead and got you a mouse. Now, this is called a mouse. And when you're thinking of the word mouse, what may come to mind is this animal, which is a mouse, right? Which is pretty silly. The reason they call this a mouse is because it used to plug into Chromebooks and it would have this long cord that would go from one end to the side of your Chromebook or computer, and it reminded people of like the tail on a mouse. So they decided to call these, like when you have one of these, a mouse. So in order to sign in, you have to open the lid. Now, if nothing happens when you open the lid, it might be because you need to push the power button. Now, this is my drawing of what the power button looks like, but the power button will turn your Chromebook on and off. So if you open it and it's just a black screen, what you need to do is look at your keyboard, which is this part of your Chromebook that has all of the letters and keys, or they're like buttons, and you need to look up here and you will see the power button, and you need to press and hold it for like 1, 2, 3 seconds and let go. And if you do that and you wait, it should turn on. The only reason it might not turn on is if it needs to be charged. So I'm sure you guys know from having tablets or iPhones that things die because the battery goes down and they need to be charged. So how do I check on my Chromebook to see the battery? Well, the battery, this is the word battery, and this is my picture of a battery. This is like an actual battery that you could put into like a flashlight, right? This is the same shape that battery would be. I can find that shape on my screen right here. And if I look on my screen, it shows me the time, and then it has that shape of a battery. And you can see mine is all of the way white, which means this Chromebook is charged. If it was down and there was only white in some color and black or red in the other color, then that would mean that my battery had less time. And if it goes all the way down, it won't turn on and it needs to be charged. All right, so our Chromebook is charged. It's ready to go. Let's go ahead and talk about how we move things around. You can be using your mouse or you can be using your finger on the trackpad. But what you need to do is you need to find this. This is called a cursor. And a cursor looks like a triangle with a little line coming out of it. So if I put my finger on the trackpad and I wiggle it around, all of a sudden right there, I see the cursor. And that's how I go and move around and click on buttons in order to go to different parts on the screen on my Chromebook. Now, when I get to the button that I want to use and I want to click on it or push down on either my mouse or, again, I can push down on this trackpad, then my cursor actually changes to something else. It changes to a hand that looks like this, which is kind of silly, right? So I'm going to move my cursor, and I am just actually using my trackpad. So I do that by just putting one finger only on it. I'll show you another time when you can use 2 fingers later, but one finger only will move that cursor around. You can't have anything else touching or your Chromebook gets confused. So I'm going to move my cursor down to that blue button. Blue buttons usually mean go to the next one. And see how it turned into a hand right there? You can see it turned into a hand. I'm going to click on it, which means I'm going to push down with one finger on that trackpad, and this is going to come up. Now that I have this, I'm ready to use my login card, which I have Jackson's right here, and I'm ready to put in my information. Now, before I can start, I have to take my cursor into this white rectangle box, and I have to put it there, and it turns into like a line, and I have to push again to click inside that box. Then it starts blinking. It's a blinking line, blink, blink, blink. So now I'm ready to put in my username. It's this one, the short one. This is actually my email address, which we'll talk about later, but this is my username. So I'm gonna use my keyboard, which is right here, all of these keys, and I'm gonna find the letters that make up my username. So I go ahead and I find all of the letters that make up my username, and I type them right there. But now I need to type in this password right here, and I'm covering part of it with my thumb. Well, in order to do that, I need to take my finger on my trackpad or my mouse again, and I need to move my cursor down to that bottom box and click down there so that that little cursor begins to do that blinking line again. And that's where I'm gonna put in my password. And all of our passwords start with the same 3 letters, G, so I find that. Look, it just goes to a circle. I have to remember what I've typed. P, S, it's just a little dot right there. I'm gonna have to remember. And then the rest of my password, it should be another letter, and then 4 numbers. Now you will put this in so much, you will memorize it. And you will be like, I don't even need to look at my login card, Mrs. Lloyd. I already remember it. That's called memorizing it. And that's true. That happens to most first graders. They have these 2 things memorized by the end of the year. So they have their username and their password because we type them in a lot. So then we're gonna go ahead and take our cursor and we're gonna move it to this word, go. And do you see how when I move my cursor over that box, it turns red? Now I'm gonna click, and if you're using your trackpad, it means push. But if you're using your mouse, you just push with one finger too, and click. Now it's gonna go ahead and go blank, and I just have to wait whenever it happens. Or if you see that little circle going around and around, like you just have to wait. Do you see this little circle up here? It's that blue circle going around and around. If you start pushing other keys on the keyboard or playing with your mouse or the trackpad, your Chromebook will get confused and be like, oh no, I don't know what to do. They want me to do so much. So we just wait. And what came up is this. This is called rapid identity. And it's a really silly word, but basically what it is all of these boxes that are like buttons that I can click on that will take me to different places. So like this looks like an envelope. That would take me to my email because you guys all have an email. Now, for our learning time, we're always going to be clicking on this button that has a little bumblebee on it. It's called our B. We're going to be clicking right there. Somewhere else we might click is if you look at my cursor. See, there's my cursor. It's a hand because I could click there right now, but I don't want to. I'm going to go down to this green square down here with a person on it. That's actually my Google Classroom, and I could click on that also. Now, one thing I can show you right now is that if I want to move down and see the tiles that are below that I can't see in my screen right now, I can actually use on my trackpad, instead of one finger that I've been using to move around, if I take 2 fingers and put them together on my trackpad like this, and go and like, it's almost like petting the trackpad, where you start at the top and you go down or you go up. This is what happens to your screen when you're doing that. It moves down, and look, I can see all the different squares. You're gonna love this square right here. And I can move up and look at all of those squares. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and click on this little square right here. So I click on the bumblebee, which is called Buzz. And then here, it's going to say, oh look, that's our water tower for our city of Gilbert. I'm gonna follow this arrow, and it points to this word right here, which says log in. And it's just one little word next to 3 dots. I'm gonna go ahead and click on log in by pushing. And when I do that, it will take me to where we will do our learning for that day. And here it starts with student orientation, and we click on that to see what we're gonna do here. And here it gets into our classroom. Now we'll talk about all of this more as we get into it, but I wanted to go ahead and show you guys how to do that. But I'm gonna go ahead and leave. I'm gonna click on this little person and go down to the bottom word, which says log out. And then I'm gonna go ahead and log out of Chrome, because a great way to start just getting used to your Chromebook is by logging in and then logging out. So look, this is how I log out of my Chromebook. Down here where that battery was, that I remember how I showed you that there's a battery right there. Let me show you my word battery. The battery, remember, so we can see if our Chromebook needs to be charged. If I go click on that down there, all of a sudden this will come up, and right here is a little circle with a picture. If I go to the oval next to it, there's 2 words, and it says sign out. So I click on sign out, and then this comes back up. So a great thing to do first would be just to practice logging in and then logging out. Remember, you need to practice by using your login information. So just practice that part right there where you're typing in everything. And getting into everything. Clicking on go. Practice bringing that up. And you have to be patient. Patient means we wait nicely. So we practice bringing that up, looking at all the different tiles that will come up in a second. Just being patient. There we go. And you can explore moving the window down to see the different tiles. And then again, practice logging out by going to that battery, clicking on it, and then going up to sign out. Okay, so that is how we use our Chromebook if you are using a Chromebook from school. All right, I'll see you guys soon. Bye.